essentially, when you expose derogatory things in science, there's concern for safety, and there's concern for mental health and life and all sorts of reasons when you expose things. But when you call someone something that you cannot measure, that you can't show your measurements of that exact living person, you're essentially committing fraud, because you're exploiting something about calling somebody something that's derogatory, and that exploit itself is sociopathic. Just because you tried to exploit someone directly without being able to make a measure of who they are and prove who they are and what they've done, it's sociopathic. And it doesn't mean that it's absolutely, it's fraudulent, but it's not a harsh crime. But it could sway public opinion, and that's what slander is all about, is swaying a public opinion. And if the public had any sense at all, they would see that psychology and life and things can be very biased, and they can also be falsified. And it all comes down to measurements, because if you can't provide your measurements in court to prove what is true about anything or anyone, about their actions, and not so much about what they think, but more so about what their actions are, you lose. You committed fraud. It can vary in levels depending upon how damaging it becomes and whether or not you admit that you lied or that you were wrong to the public or to a person or to a place or to whoever. You cannot slander people. You cannot libel people. You cannot really tell things that are false about things in the world. But you have to conduct yourself in a way of evidence. And it is not easy. When we're struggling, we need help. And you got to suck in all your pride. You got to stop calling the kettle black, if you will. Because actually we're learning now that some sciences are not being measured. I'm not going to say what that is, because it's just, I already have, but there's so much that's not absolutely a measurement. And we can't see it. Where's it at? I mean, the National Institute of Health isn't posting it directly. The Board of Engineers, the universities, they only show so much information. But there's a lot of missing information, and we've challenged it psychologically. Psychologically, I have challenged it. And that's because I was informed by standard information. And standardized information, it has a lot of logic to it. You can draw conclusions without actually knowing everything. But your conclusions only go so far. So I myself don't have a lot of information. But I'm also saying that many people don't. Especially the doctors, the scientists, the engineers, the judges, the lawyers, they're missing information as well. And this is all to do with medicine and science and law and engineering. And, you know, that covers the basis of everything. I don't care what it is, it's a science. So everything's basically science. So that's pretty much it. You need to know that essentially when you can't measure something, you can't prove what it is or what it does or what value it has. So you shouldn't be running around saying that it has a value unless you know that you've measured a value of it. And then it only has that value. But the thing is something can have multiple values. Even a medication can have multiple effects. A condition can have value too. It can bring about good things. A lot of things can happen that are positive because sometimes nature tries to help itself. It just has a way of helping itself sometimes, but it also has a way of hurting itself sometimes too. But I'm 40 years old. I apparently helped myself a little bit. So, a lot of people do. But someday we're probably going to die, so, you know, it's a question of what medicine can do at this point, which is all about genetics and telomeres and stem cells and blood and nutrition and antivirals and antibacterials and anti-protozoa and you name it, anti-cancer treatment and chemo is what it is. It's chemistry and cells. That's what we know about it. So we also know that it may be possible to hear a psychic sound now. I've done research in that and I created a video, a really nice video of the evidence of that. So you can look at that too. It's on this channel. So yeah, this is all about evidence in the end. Accurate evidence, not anything that is inaccurate. It's all geometrical. You see, it has to show significance. It has to be somewhat legal too. You can't use hearsay. You can't use hearsay as truth unless it's obvious. Otherwise, it has evidence proven to show itself.